Hello and welcome to One on One. I'm Vernon Ramesar, and today we continue our conversation with actor, singer, songwriter, philanthropist Tennille Amor. Thanks for sticking around.
Thank you for keeping me here.
Well, not against your...
I'm happy to be here.
Well, we talked about your music career before, and a lot of people that would be all-consuming in everything that they actually did. But you've actually decided that's not enough for you, and that you want to, because of your experiences around the world, I take it, to make a difference.
Sure.
In a number of areas, certainly in getting clean drinking water to people in Tanzania and Africa, and also in the matter of gender equity. And you'll be actually at the UN very soon to present a new video, among other things.
Yeah.
Tell us, how did that happen?
Very organically, like
everything
the rest
in your
of it.
Career.
Yeah. I was playing this song, "I Am a Girl," which is my new single that will be released at the United Nations on March 8th. I was playing it to...
We should mention the United Nations in New York.
In New York, yeah. I was playing it to a friend of mine before any of this happened. It was very early stages. I had just written it, just recorded it, and he actually mentioned to me, he said, well, have you thought about getting this to the people at the United Nations? I said, yeah, right. Like, how am I going to do that? And he said, well, I know a woman who does some work with them. She's based in Denmark, but I can connect you guys via email, which he did. She and I ended up having a Skype call. She loved the song. She connected me with another friend of hers who does some work in New York, but as like a group outside of the UN that does some work with the UN. Met with them. They loved it too. Then they ended up connecting me with UN Women, and I met with them, played them the song, kind of unsure as to what they might think about it, because it's very up-tempo. It's a song that you could hear in a club. It's a song that you could definitely dance to, party to. But it's pop.
And you thought the UN was stodgy.
I just didn't know. I didn't know what to expect. And they loved it so much. And they were like, this is exactly like the type of song that we need. We need something like this to engage the youth, engage young people in the sustainable development goals. Because the problem is, or not really the problem, but what the UN recognizes is that they can make laws about certain things and work towards the sustainable development goals, one of which is gender equality, but it doesn't really mean anything if you're not connecting to the youth. So they recognize that through mainstream media, through music as one of the tools, social media is another tool. Those are ways that we can actually fully engage with young people and people within, my age group, all age groups, like to be able to get them excited and get them to understand the importance of these issues that we're talking about, rather than say, listen to this conference that's taking place at the UN, or attend this meeting at the UN, or go online and read all of this material about why this is an issue.
Which is not going to happen for most people.
It's not going to happen. Yeah. Even for me, someone who's very, very passionate about this cause and strongly understands why it's important.
Because you mentioned in the previous chat we had that as a woman, you're faced with certain expectations and pressures as a performer, which men aren't.
Yes. It's funny, so part of what I'm doing with this release is I've been asking women and girls around the world to submit video footage to me of them performing the song, which they're going to be featured. A lot of them are going to be featured in the music video that will be released. But also, I've been asking them to share their thoughts on gender equality and share their thoughts on the word feminism, which has such negative connotations. And it's interesting because to say that you're a feminist really only means that you believe in the equality of men and women. So the fact that people think that if you say you're a feminist, it means that you don't like wearing bras, or you don't want to wear lipstick, or you don't like men. Yeah. Exactly. All of which is completely untrue. All it means is that we believe that men and women should have an equal playing field in all areas of life. So one of the submissions that I got from someone was talking about, do you feel that one of the questions that I asked was, do you feel that you're treated differently as a woman in your career and what you do? And she was actually a rapper, and she said, yeah, the fact that anyone even asks me that, like, how does it feel to be a female rapper? You never ask a man that. You never ask a male, like, how does it feel to be a male rapper? Or how does it feel to be a male musician, a male artist? That's never, it's just, let me hear about your music. Let's talk about your music. Let me, you know, so it's interesting that
you're seen as a novelty, almost.
Yeah, that there is that element of that it's almost...
Funny you should mention, because the BBC has a program called The Conversation, where they have two women from two different parts of the world in the same field, talking about their experiences in society and getting forward in their careers. And one of the programs was about two rappers, one from Africa and one a black one in Europe, and their experiences were different in some ways, but yet similar in terms of discrimination in others. Yeah.
That's interesting, and it does happen. I think that, you know, I mentioned before, I'm a songwriter, and I think that, like, a lot of the men that I work with assume, for whatever reason, that, first of all, as a female stepping into a predominantly male studio, you deal with certain things. You deal with being taken seriously, first of all, like, and being seen, heard, as much as being seen, right? So being there for a purpose other than just adding something to their visual, provide some sort of visual stimulation, which I think is really nuts and kind of, it's frustrating. And part of it, I used to actually try my best to dress down in whatever, or try to almost not be attractive, or to try and, you know, so that I could just be heard, you know, and so that they would just pay attention to what I have to say, as opposed to objectifying. But why should we have to do that, you know? Like, why should there have to be, why should I even have to think about that? Why should anyone have to think about that, when you really, what it is you just want to be taken seriously for what you do and what you're able to contribute to any situation. So I'm confident in what I know that I can contribute to it, but it's just working through those initial kind of, oh wait, you can do that? Like, you know, the feeling of just... Well,
I mean, as a woman, I guess you think, I can do this, but I have to step around things that a man wouldn't have to step around, or whether it's leering, or I guess sexist jokes, or whatever else you have to put up with in the studio. Which is unfortunate. Yeah, I can imagine, given the field that you're in.
Yeah.
But in terms of what inspired the song "I Am a Girl," would Malala be in some way connected with it?
I wanted her in the video very badly, and that's still, like, on my wish list, I guess. She's someone who I really want. She's incredible, an incredible young woman. I haven't had the opportunity to meet her yet, but I've met her team, and I love her. I love what she does, and she's extremely busy. Yeah. She's in school too, so that was, you know, they said that she, you know, she loves the song and the concept and everything, but it's just about finding the time to do it.
Given the fact that she fought through so much to actually stay in school.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's an inspiration for a lot of young people, I suspect.
Yeah, completely. I was fortunate to be able to go to the screening of her movie at the UN when they released it. And I was in the room just sobbing at just her story and her father, like the belief that her father had in her. And that's part of it too, is that the discussion on gender equality is not really possible if we're only having it amongst women. We have to include men in this conversation, and it has to be a conversation, not that we're speaking at men about what's important and why gender equality is important. It's having a conversation with men, allowing them to understand our perspective on certain things. I actually was having a conversation with a friend of mine who is actually he's editing the video for I Am a Girl, and we've had many conversations around gender equality because of the video, because of my passion on the subject. And last night we ended up talking till the early hours of the morning about it, because I was sharing with him experiences that women go through, just like what you said, like those comments, those things that I said, even parking my car. I parked my car and I walked to the studio, which was a 10-foot walk, right? And in that short space of time, I had messaged him saying that I was there, but I knew that I could get in, you know, without him having to come out and get me. But within that short walk, someone was going, psst, hey, meh, like trying to get my attention. And the initial thought was, oh, is that him? Like, is he trying? And then I look and I see it's just some guy in a truck catcalling.
Don't you want to ask them, has that ever worked for anybody, catcalling somebody? Has anybody ever got a date out of it? No.
Honestly, I hope not. But I can't, I don't know.
Probably rewarding for bad behavior is what would be.
Yeah, right. But that in itself, just the fact that I'm going to work, I was going to edit my video, right? But in going to work, I have to experience just that walk. And then what I was trying to explain to my friend as well, it's not the fact that someone's catcalling that's annoying, because it is annoying, right? So that in itself, you can brush it off and be like, ugh, it's annoying. But there's that slight moment where that happens to where you are safely at your destination, of that slight moment of feeling like, oh, I hope he doesn't take this a little bit further, right? I hope he doesn't actually act on whatever that thought that he's having in his mind. I hope he doesn't act on it, right? And so the fact that we as women even have to think about that.
So that brings gender-based violence into the whole conversation as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. And that's something that I think the statistic is 1 in 3 women have been raped, or experienced sexual abuse, some sort of sexual abuse. So it's so prevalent, and it obviously is happening to people around us all the time. And what's difficult is that when you speak out about it, obviously, like, that has negative effects too, because people may think that you're, not taking you seriously, or think you're overreacting, or think that. So it's definitely something that exists. Obviously, it's something that I personally even have dealt with to certain degrees in my life, but something that you can't let hold you back. Like, you have to move forward and recognize that, because being a woman doesn't mean that you have to live in fear, shouldn't mean that you have to live in fear, shouldn't mean that you have to dress a certain way just so that men don't get turned on or feel, even the situation that happened
very recently,
right.
The former mayor,
right, so those shouldn't be things that we have to be.
And you deal with this in New York, you would deal with it in Trinidad and Tobago,
I
guess.
Absolutely.
Everywhere you go, as a woman, I suppose.
Everywhere you go.
I guess that's what the UN is trying to get the message out, is that the I am a girl message. It's that men need to buy into it, because if women and girls get ahead in life on an equal footing, then the whole world is improved by it, isn't it? Including the lives of men.
It really is. And that's another thing another conversation that I had recently with the work we do in Tanzania through EPIC, my organization. It stands for Everyday People Initiating Change. We drill water wells in Tanzania, but we do community growth and development there too. And we've been there in and out of Tanzania for the past 10 years. So I have one, friend of mine who is the woman that we stay with. We do a homestay program. People can come out through our fellowship program to experience the work that we do. They raise money before they come, so they feel like they're a part of the experience when they're there. They stay with the people that we've known for years, and she was sharing with me that women in Tanzania oftentimes are abused by their husbands, who feel that, like, for example, in her situation, she's a very educated woman. She was given a scholarship to go and study abroad in the Netherlands. So she got her degree, she got her master's, she got her PhD. She's making decent money, not great, but decent for a woman in her position in Tanzania. And her husband, who also, and I almost feel bad sharing this story, and I hope that they don't see it, but at the same time, I also feel that it's such an important story for women around the world to understand and recognize. But he's someone who I also adore. He's a good man in a lot of ways. Like, he's a good person, and he's a friend too. But she was sharing with me that his insecurities have led him to abuse her, right? So violently abuse her, and she's the mother of his children too. But he's had like multiple affairs, and boasts to his friends that, well, yes, so and so, my wife may be educated, maybe making more money, maybe this, maybe that, but she's still underneath me because I beat her. So she's still less than me because I'm stronger than her, right? So hearing that, and she was sharing this with me yesterday, it broke my heart, like hearing that that's something that this amazingly wonderful, biggest heart, most incredible woman, intelligent woman, passionate woman, biggest personality, you'd fall in love with her if you met her. She's incredible. You know, that she would have to deal with something like that. She's a strong woman. So if someone like that is dealing with abuse to that degree, imagine women who aren't as strong or can't stand up for themselves as much as she can. It happens all the time. So it would be ignorant and naive for me to think that it's just a quick fix solution, that all of a sudden, like, we can talk about gender equality and say it's important, and all of a sudden everyone jumps on the bandwagon and is in support of it. It's not going to happen like that. These are cultural things that you know, cultural norms that have been happening for years, that we have to break out of these, you know.
They have to not be the norm again.
They have to be not be the norm.
Because that story you were telling us, I mean, it obviously suggests that to a lot of women in many parts of the world, you can achieve as much as you want, but ultimately you're still a woman.
Yeah.
And still seen as, by men, some men, inferior, lesser.
Yes. And if you, in her case, are not inferior, actually, by a lot of people's perspectives, superior, then it's like, well, I need to bring you down a little bit, because I can't be in a relationship where my wife is making more money than me. I can't be in a relationship where my wife is, you know, more successful than me or more educated than me. A lot of men have a hard time with that, and that's not just in the developing world. That happens in, you know, Western countries as well. It's difficult for me to be in a relationship with a man who is secure enough in himself that he doesn't feel threatened by the fact that I have a lot going on. I have a lot going on. You know, so to be with someone who is okay with that, and is okay with the fact that I might have to be at the studio until 2 o'clock in the morning working, because that's just what I do. That's part of what I do. And I might be there with a lot of men because I work with a lot of men. Those are things that, unless someone's really secure in themselves, they might have a problem with that.
It speaks, of course, I think every major movement to make the world a better place, whether it's for blacks in the US or any number of other groups, there's almost always a backlash by the forces of conservatism and the forces of the status quo. So I think there is a backlash to the feminist movement around the world as well, isn't there?
Yeah, for sure.
But it's really just being on the wrong side of history.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Well, we were having that conversation too about even racism. I mean, racism obviously is such a huge thing in Trinidad as well, and I don't get it because I've lived away for the majority of my life. So for me, I can't even understand or try to understand how someone could treat someone in a negative way because of the color of their skin. It's disgusting to me. It sickens me, right? But I've been fortunate to be exposed to so many different races and so many different people, and the color of someone's skin has never affected, in my eyes, their ability to do anything, right? So, and the friend of mine that I was discussing this with, he was like, Tennille, you understand that you can fight for this as hard as you want to fight for it, but you're not going to see it change. This is just something that's always going to exist. I said, well, that's not true. I don't believe that to be true, because I know that our parents' generation believed things differently to what our generation believes, right? So we have seen some sort of change. And I believe that if you see one person changed, then that's worth it. If you can change someone's perspective, one person's perspective, then that's going to ripple out and affect the other people that they're in contact with, right? So if I can have a conversation with one of my guy friends about gender equality and get them to understand why they shouldn't be objectifying women, if then they end up having a child, a female child, and they raise their daughter in such a way that she doesn't feel that she is seen as only, or her value only lies in her, you know, the superficial aspects of her being, then she may grow up to be confident in all areas of her life, not just in her looks, right? Or if they have a son, they might raise their son to respect women and to see women as more than just face value, right?
And to treat them as equals.
To treat them as equals, sure. So I do believe that change is possible, and I do believe that we can get there. And it's going to take time. Again, I'm not naive to think that it's a click your fingers type of situation, but why would we not try? Why would we not work towards that if that's where we should be in life? And I'm not just talking about equality for women. I'm talking about equality for all people, all of humanity. I don't want to live in a world. I don't want to eventually have children in a world where people are treated differently because of the color of their skin or because of their gender, because of, you know, any of these things. Like, I think that everyone should be treated equally regardless of you know, of who they are on the surface.
I guess you almost have to sort of believe deeply in your heart what Martin Luther King said, which was, Jr. said, about, you know, the arc of the moral universe bends slowly, but when it does, it bends towards justice.
Exactly.
It's ultimately what we all have to hope for, isn't it?
What an incredible man he was. Yeah, absolutely. And that's it. Like, there are men and women like him who have made such huge impacts on how, and he didn't even really get to see the full impact that he made in his life. And that's why, you know, sometimes we don't. And my friend that we were having this conversation, he was saying, you know, I don't think we'll see it in our lifetime. I said, yeah, we might not, you know, like, we might not. Who knows? I could die tomorrow. Who knows when any of us are going to go? But why would we, again, why would we not try, even if we don't see it in our lifetimes?
Because somebody's going to see it at some point.
Exactly.
Is what we have to hope for.
Exactly.
Now, you have, I mean, I'm just looking at the schedule that I sort of happily pulled off of your website, I believe it is.
Yeah.
March the 8th, the launch of the I'm a Girl video at the UN in New York. The 11th, the Youth Commission on the Status of Women performing I'm a Girl at the opening ceremony. March the 12th, Lions Day with the UN opening song Lion. You. Keynote speaker at the Leo Youth Lunch Roundtable. Discussion on gender equality at the United Nations. March 13th, another NGO CSW briefing performing I Am a Girl. You, and then the 14th, 15th, 16th, and the 18th. You got a busy time ahead of you next month.
It's really crazy. Where did you get that? That's true. That's really good.
Yeah.
It's going to be, and there's a rally I just found out, which I'm really excited about. On March 18th, there's going to be a rally in New York. I think it's at 12 p.m. if anyone's in New York watching this, where I'm opening the rally singing I Am a Girl, and supposed to be teaching it to the thousands of people who are going to be gathering there, and everyone's going to be singing it together. So.
Now, it's March 8th is International Women's Day. Now,
yes.
You're younger, but you may recall or read somewhere that many, many years ago there was an International Women's Day, maybe the first one, for all I know, where another singer launched a song, I Am Woman, Helen Reddy, and it kind of became very famous worldwide.
Yeah, I do know that.
That could happen, couldn't it?
Who knows? You know what? Honestly, like I said in the last segment, I don't have any expectations with it. I just genuinely know within my heart and soul that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. The people who have come together, even to make this possible, this song, and the launch of the song possible in the way that it's going to be pretty incredible. And I have a few well-known, recognizable faces who are going to be in the video as well. I'm not going to name any names yet, so that'll be a little surprise. Yeah. But people who you'll, you know, recognize, and then just the women and girls around the world who've been submitting footage. I've been going through footage, I don't know, for the past months, it feels like, of just going through this incredible footage, and it's so exciting to see. And every single person is so passionate about doing it, and so thankful to be part of the release. And I'm just so thankful to have the support from all these incredible.
But I mean, really, for any artist, up-and-coming artist even, to have a launch of this sort of scale is a pretty significant thing, isn't it?
Feels like it.
Through the United Nations, and it'll be a worldwide thing at some point.
Yeah.
Does that daunt you a little bit?
I don't have time
you don't seem
to be
easily
daunted.
But,
yeah, that's the thing. It's so crazy. I think if I had time to think about it, yes, I would feel very daunted. So in the moments where I have a little bit of downtime and I really think about, oh, whoa, this is really actually happening, it is daunting, but I'm like, every single day there's so much that needs to be done for it that there's very little time to even think about what I'm doing. It's just like, it just has to be done, so you do it. And yeah, I feel ready. I think that's the perfect answer to that, is that I'm not concerned because I know that my entire life has led me to this point of where I'm ready.
So it's like the forces of the universe have come together and put you here at this moment for a cause that you passionately believe in.
Yeah,
Do you ever get stage fright? Because it would seem to me the United Nations would be a prime place to get stage fright.
Now I'm feeling.
Now I've planted in your head.
Now you're making me nervous. No, I used to a lot. I don't know what I'm gonna feel on the day. I really don't know what it's early in the morning too on March 8th, and I'm not a morning person.
Neither am I, so I understand that. Maybe you'll be so stunned, you know, you
I might just be half asleep and just be like, okay, let's go. I don't know. I hope not. I think that, again, I've seen the room that I'm going to be performing in, and it is very daunting. When I walked into the room, I was like, oh, wow.
Big room.
This is big. Yeah. Honestly, I trust that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I trust there's a plan in all of it, and it's going to be what it's supposed to be.
Tennille Amor, we're completely out of time. I want to tell you this interview has been a delight for me.
Such a delight for me,
Thank you so much for being
so
here.
So great. Thank
you. Great pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
You've been watching One-on-One. Join us again tomorrow for another edition.